This video has been in production since prior to Elon Musk making the harebrained decision to rename Twitter to X. I have decided to leave the references to Twitter as is, however, in protest to X being the website name equivalent of Hippodon. And also, I'd already recorded the audio beforehand. Enjoy the video. The Phoenix has landed. You know what show people don't give enough credit to? The Ghost and Molly McGee.
The Ghost and Molly McGee!
People know about this show. It's one of the biggest shows currently airing on Disney Channel and streaming on Disney+. There's all the reasons you see the general public praising it for. The animation's fluid and well detailed, the characters are fun and full of personality, and the songs, yes, this show is a musical, are entertaining to listen to. And those all are legitimate reasons. But above all, there's one big reason, the most important of all, that truly highlights that the three reasons I've already brought up are only the condiments on this burger. Then you have the patty, chickpea for me, possibly beef or chicken for you. The big reason that those with more critical of an eye, such as myself, love it for. It's just a damn well-written show. I have a thread on Twitter on which I reviewed every episode of the show, which is linked in the description. If there's anything about the show worthy of praise more than anything else, it's its ability to balance comedy with topics not usually discussed in shows for younger audiences. Topics such as financial struggles, capitalism, puberty, foreign culture, and the topic we'll be discussing today, minimum wage workers and how they're mistreated and taken for granted by the public. Today we'll be looking at Season 2, Episode 4B of The Ghost and Molly McGee, It's Always Sunny in Sunnyland. Haha, you're funny. I saw the segment the day it dropped on Disney Plus along with the other 7 segments that dropped the day after the season premiere debuted on television. Said season premiere dropped on the surface at the same time. Anyways, I thought it was great even that first time around. But since it dropped, it kept sticking around in my mind as one of the most solidly written segments the show has dropped thus far. A display of the show's strengths balancing its comedic tone with heavy topics. How well does it handle it? Let's dive in. I just want to make a quick point. I quite like the way this show's title cards are designed. The way they foreshadow what the segment is about by the way they present Molly or sometimes another character in Scratch, and also the sticker at the bottom center of the object that appears in the segment. As someone who went to school for graphic design, it's solid stuff. They could have just done the usual and put the title as a caption, or as giant colorful letters next to an abstract representation of what the segment is about, and I wouldn't think anything of it. But this show goes the extra mile with some creativity, and I quite appreciate that. And it's fun watching the object shown in the sticker show up in the actual story. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. The segment starts with the McGee family excited for their trip to Disneyland. I mean Sunnyland! Let's be honest, it's obvious what they mean.
I can already feel my stress melting away. Gig picking this month has been rough.
No more late night meetings.
I can't take another detention.
If you've seen this show, you know Daryl's a bit of a troublemaker. By which I mean he gets in trouble so much that I bet Pete's late night meetings are actually him and his wife Sharon being called to the principal's office for Daryl's disciplinary meetings. The segment then introduces the titular Sunnyland through a montage illustrating its various attractions, set to a song obviously modeled after It's a Small World. I won't play the song here because I'm already treading risky territory with YouTube's copyright bots just showing these clips. I don't want to take any more chances by also playing one of the songs. I don't know what the copyright status is on them, but what I will say is I do like the art style of the sequence. For those that don't know, this art style is based on that of concept artist Mary Blair, known for her work on Disney's animated films of the 1940s and 1950s. And fittingly enough for the song playing, was also the concept artist on the It's a Small World ride. Okay, side tangent, apparently the official title for It's a Small World is all lowercase. I don't know why it is, but it is. And I wrote it that way in the script. It's not, It's a Small World, it's a Small World. Unfortunately for the McGees, Mother Nature has other plans, as here comes the rain again.
It's a dark day at Sunnyland as a once-in-a-century rainstorm floods the park. For the first time in living memory, Sunnyland is closed.
Our vacation is canceled?
Yep, canceled.
Yep.
Tell me this segment was written as a coping mechanism to deal with the events of 2020 and early 2021. Without telling me this segment was written as a coping mechanism to deal with the events of 2020 and early 2021.
when you think about it, do we really need rides and attractions and Sundays to happify us?
Yes!
I don't need those things to be inhapified. All I need is my art skills. And also cartoons and video games. And now I realize I need to define this Mollyism for those not familiar with the show. Enhapify. Actually, probably figure it out on your own. It means to bring joy to others. The term first appeared in Season 1, Episode 2B, The Unnatural.
That'll enhapify our little town of Brighton.
Enhapify?
It's a word.
By this point in the show, it has had its own song, and the character Andrea Davenport has trademarked the term for herself to use. Which I think she just did to mess with Molly before dropping it, because her trademark is never brought up again after that segment. Anyways, Enhapify also has a variant for sadness. Ensatify.
I will not stand by and let this family be insatified. I hate that word.
Unless you can change the weather, this vacation is over.
You know, it just occurred to me that Ezekiel Tugbottom has weather-altering abilities.
Why don't you just buzz off, you big blowhard?
I'll show you, blowhard!
I said he had them, not that they could clear the flood in Sunnyland. Could they? So Molly gets an idea. An awful idea. Molly gets a wonderful, awful idea.
Call that a scoop? There you go.
Molly, you be grateful that your family is not autistic.
Smash that like button and subscribe.
No, that wasn't her idea, thank God. Well, okay, it was one part of it. Her actual idea was to make a homemade version of Sunnyland for her family to enjoy.
Use your Sunny Bucks to buy merchandise, because we've got shirts, we've got hats, and we've got sunny shades. I have a very special guest for you. Just 1 second. It's me, Sunny! Rise and shine, everyone!
Best vacation ever!
You know, this reminds me of a certain other show on Disney. Well, a show Disney owns the distribution rights to. Yeah, this segment is totally Tagam's attempt to make their own Bluey episode. I've already talked on Twitter about why this segment reminds me of Bluey, but for those that haven't read my thread, or seen Bluey, or understand why I'm making this comparison, allow me to explain. Bluey is a show that focuses mostly on, well, Bluey of course, her younger sister Bingo, and their playtime, which often gets their parents Panda and Chili involved, as well as, if they're around, their friends and neighbors. Oftentimes, the playtime builds up to some kind of lesson that helps the kids and even the adults grow as people, in this case canines. It's a formula that has brought the show massive critical acclaim, and so I'm not surprised other shows would try their own spin on it, especially if it's a show like The Ghost and Molly McGee, that's known for regularly dealing with more than just fluffy subject matter. As most workers are, Molly is initially eager to take on this task and happifying her family with her Sunnyland at home. She also gets Scratch on board to help her by bribing him with ice cream.
Congratulations on becoming an official Sunny Buddy, Duke!
I feel so free!
This costume is degrading.
No negative Nimbus on my watch, you little cutie.
You know, the thing about bribery is, it works.
Even when you're being bribed to wear a costume despite having shape-shifting abilities. Which, to be fair, he does get to use.
Welcome to the Sunny Buggy Tour of the Sky. When it comes to fun, the sky is the limit.
Video grounder. I'm not usually a fan of the bland name product trope, but this one I got a kick out of. For those that don't know, it's a reference to Radio Flyer, a company known for manufacturing red wagons. I don't know how many people in the show's target audience would get that reference, so I don't know if many of people in my own generation would. But now you know.
Uh-oh, here comes a thunderstorm with a chance of de-lightning.
I love the smell of fresh confetti.
With all due respect, Pete, it's paper. Paper doesn't have a smell. Unfortunately, that eagerness doesn't last. Molly soon realizes she bit off more than she can chew, and she's reminded that their vacation was meant to last an entire week, and her family is expecting the same out of her homemade Sunnyland.
Right, this was going to be a week-long vacation.
She's been to the afterlife and back, no, the flow of failed phantoms and back, and even destroyed the leader of the afterlife who sent her to the flow. And yet, it's the slog of minimum wage work, well, what would be minimum wage work if she was getting paid for this, that breaks her spirit. Well, broke Kirby, why should I expect that Molly's spirit is any stronger, right? Luckily, though, Molly is called for reinforcements, by which she means her human bestie and arguably the show's breakout character, Libby Stein Taurus. If there's any character from this show an outsider would know about, aside from, of course, Molly and Scratch, it's Libby. And for good reason. She's got a sweet and shy demeanor and quiet personality that's made her arguably the most popular character on the show. You probably also noticed that she looks like Lisa from The Loud House. Well, guess what? She sounds like her too. Because she's voiced by Lara Jo Miller, also known for her roles in Life of Times Juniper Lee, OKKO, B-Stars, and if you're a Gen Xer or grew up on old sitcoms, you know her in live action as Sam from Give Me a Break! Hey, if it has an exclamation point, I'm pronouncing that exclamation point. It's not Give Me a Break, it's Give Me a Break! I'm not going to go too deep in detail with Libby's character here because there's another segment I'd like to review eventually that conversation would be more relevant for. But I'll just say now, if you end up a fan of the show, you'll end up a fan of Libby. Unfortunately, Libby, having never experienced Sunnyland for herself, ends up getting taken in by this homemade version and seizes the opportunity to have fun.
Is that the cloud coaster? Ooh, I've always wanted sunny shades.
Well, here's your chance.
Wait, but Oh, no, you're right. You deserve an amplification too.
Molly would never cut it as a boss. Eventually, Molly, already tired from the previous day, ends up burning herself out big time and happifying her family. Also, this bit right here. I don't think there's a better visual metaphor for being overworked. Hell, it can function as a visual metaphor for a lot of things. Like the point where a specky such as myself has a meltdown.
You happen to have any sunny shades in blue?
That is blue.
Is it? Seems like more of a teal.
I'll settle this, they're cyan. Trust me, when you go to college for graphic design like I did, stop thinking in terms of the traditional Roy G. Biv rainbow. You think in terms of the digital rainbow. Red, yellow, green, cyan, blue, magenta. Here's a key to remember it. Roses each grown can be majestic. Okay? Molly tries to create a makeshift solar-filled light show with what looks like the radiation matrix of the Flidus Metaphor from the Cloudy films. I don't know the proper name of it, and quite frankly, I don't care because radiation matrix is funnier to say. But it ends up going haywire. And this is what we call a callback. Remember how the actual Sunnyland got closed?
It's a dark day at Sunnyland as a once-in-a-century rainstorm floods the park. For the first time in living memory, Sunnyland is closed.
I'll admit I missed that story detail on first viewing, but on rewatch it's some damn clever writing. The McGees and Libby take Molly back up to her room to comfort her.
The raindrop pool! Everything's soaked! I have to fix this!
It's okay, Molly. Relax.
You know you're a workaholic when you have dreams about work, and how badly you think you're doing. It's not a healthy way to live, and I'm glad the McGees don't try to shame Molly for her mistake. It's obvious to them and to the audience that she's hit what I like to call the strain, part where one is so exhausted in their effort to achieve a main goal that they start screwing up in even the parts they wouldn't normally screw up on. Even outside of work, I've experienced the strain when playing video games, particularly when going after difficult challenges. I become so focused on the major goal that sometimes I end up screwing up on parts that would otherwise be easy. In Molly's case here, in happifying her family, she hits the strain flooding the house trying to get the radiation matrix to work. Sucks about any property damage she's caused though, which thankfully at this moment the McGees don't care about.
We were having so much fun, we didn't stop to think how hard it was to keep Sunnyland so sunny.
I must have been blinded by my sunny shades.
Pete. For Pete's sake! The McGees are already in the good graces of anyone with strong enough moral fiber to not make a minimum wage worker's life a living hell, but then they outdo themselves by treating Molly to a surprise downstairs. Ain't that nice? And so we get a happy ending for all the cast in this segment, although Molly is as traumatized by the Sunnyland song as I imagine any retail worker is by Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You. At the risk of sounding like a boomer, I have fond memories of hearing bands like Fleetwood Mac, Styx, Badfinger, and the like during my days working at the supermarket in New York. And that was It's Always Sunny in Sunnyland. As I stated before, it's a solid written segment and it deserves all the praise it gets from the fandom, for being a solidly written character piece showing the lengths Molly is willing to go to happify, balancing that with effective comedy, and also the fact that it teaches the moral that shows don't often teach. That moral, of course, being to treat minimum wage workers with respect. Too many people in this society walk over minimum wage workers, particularly those who work in retail and in customer service. I've become a fan of the TikToks of a guy named Scott Seiss. You may know him as the angry IKEA guy and also as the male paramedic from Cocaine Bear. And let me just say, he hits the nail on the head. The problems he highlights, rude customers, poor working conditions, inconvenient scheduling. I'm sure anyone who's worked in retail and or customer service, hell, anyone that's worked a job or any of the things he's complaining about were commonplace. We've all wanted to say the things he says in his videos. But we can't because then everyone gives dirty looks to us, like we're the problem. But you know what would make life so much better? If minimum wage workers, especially those in positions where they have to deal with customers, were allowed to be rude and hostile towards any customer who is rude and hostile towards them. Because, as my character Gilda Grimes' grandmother says, retail workers aren't paid enough to deal with bullshit. Don't pay your employees to be a doormat, pay your employees to serve and, reserve the right to refuse service to anyone. If the customer wants to be a monarch, they must behave like a monarch, not the town fool. The carpet rolled out for a monarch should not be made from the skin of those who serve them. Give respect to your workers, and if you are their employer, pay them enough for them to pay their bills. Better still, do that and let them clap back at rude customers. The world would be a better and kinder place to live if moral values were enforced everywhere, in every aspect of society. And now it is time for the Phoenix to fly off. Till next time, take care, stay safe, reject crypto, support an Asimovian amendment for AI, and have a good one.